Today's video we're going to learn how to sketch the graphs for quantitative continuous data. So that's numerical continuous data. The most common way to construct continuous data is through a frequency histogram. Now notice that a frequency histogram is very different from a column graph. A column graph uses discrete data and the columns are separated, whereas a frequency histogram uses continuous data and our class of intervals are connected to each other, and there's no spaces in between the bars. Between column graphs and frequency graphs, the vertical axis labels the frequency, horizontal axis is the range of scores. On a frequency table, this is the class intervals, and our column widths are always equal to each other, and our height is determined by a frequency. Okay, in our first example here, we're going to look at weight of parcels sent on a given day from a post office in kilograms. So this is continuous data because it's a measure of the weight. And remember, that is one of our examples of continuous variables. And so the first thing I need to do is I'm going to organize this data. So let's look at and we need to figure out our class intervals. How to find our class intervals? Let's look at our range. So we're going to go our minimum value and we're going to find our maximum value. So 1.3 is our minimum value. 5.2 is our maximum value. So we're going to range in between this. Now we can go a little bit below or above those values. So it kind of makes sense that I would probably do a class interval of 1 kilogram. And since my minimum value is 1.3, I'll need to start at 1 kilogram on my frequency table. So that's our second step. Once we figured out our class of intervals, we need to construct a frequency table. On the left-hand column frequencies table is our class intervals, which is in this case weight in kilograms, and on the left is our frequency. So we're going to go from 1 kilogram to less than 2, from 2 kilograms to less than 3, 3 kilograms to less than 4, 4 kilograms to less than 5, and I need one more to get my max value in, so 5 kilograms to 6, and then I stop. Always make sure. Now I'm just going to look through here and all the ones that's in my first class. I'm counting up. There are 5 in my second group. So look at 3 less than 4. That gives me 6 data points. From 4 to less than 5, I have 3. And my last interval is just my maximum value of 1. I always like to double check and count up my total data points from my frequency table and compare that to my total number in my original data just to make sure that I didn't accidentally forget anything. Now once you make a frequency table, we're ready to draw our frequency histogram. So we're going to draw an X and Y axis. We're going to make sure we're equally spaced on each of our axes. We're going to label them, and I'm going to label by 1 kilogram. Mark my axis. This is my weight in kilograms, my unit of measurement. And on the y-axis, we're going to label it frequency. And we're also going to count by 1 on this time in our frequency. Then we're going to make bar graphs, but make sure we connect our bar graphs. So from 1 to 2, we have a height of 2. So I'm going to draw a bar graph, shade that in. Of course, you're going to shade a little bit better than I can with this tool. And then our second class is 2 to 3, which we have 5 of a frequency there. And then from 3 to 4, we have 6 parcels in that category. And from 4 to 5 kilograms, we have 3 parcels. And from 5 to 6, we have 1 parcel. And last but not least, you're going to title your histogram, your frequency histogram. In this case, this is parcel weights. And now you have successfully made your first histogram. Okay, so you're given the histogram and asked to answer some questions. So let's look at this one. We're given this histogram. How many students take algebra tests? So I'm just going to count up the frequency from each column and add those together, and I end up with 22 students. So 22 students took the algebra test. Which grades has the most test scores? So that's the one with the largest frequency, so that would be the highest bar. So test scores from 85 to 89%, score of 85 to 89. Which test score had the same number of test scores were the people that scored 95 to 100 and the people that scored 88 to 84, as well as the ones that scored 90 to 94 and 75 to 79. Students earned 85 to 89, then they earned 80 to 84. So I look at the frequency. That first one is 6 and the other one's 5, so one more student earned 85 through 89, then 80 through 84. Frequency table for this algebraic score. So now we're going to go back and make a frequency table. So we're going to label again our classes in the first column. In this case, that's going to be our grades on the test. And in our second column is going to be our frequency. So I got 75 to 79, frequency of 3, 80 to 84, frequency of 5, 85 to 89, frequency of 6, 90 to 94, frequency of 3, and 95 to 100, a frequency of 5. And that is our frequency table. Okay, in this example, we're looking at chocolate candies per bag of Trail Mix. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to make tick marks this time for each of our categories. And it looks like this table forgot our larger group of candies here. So I'm going to add I want to add another class. Now I'm going to tally up all of my tally marks to get my frequency for each class. And then of course I'm going to add the column for my total to make sure I didn't leave any out by accident. And I'll compare, yes, I have 22 data points. Now I'm going to construct a frequency histogram. And again, I'm going to have to add another column, another table here. For some reason, this book that I copied this out of forgot this last class. So let's add it in over here to the side. And I'm going to shade in each of my bars to complete my wonderful histogram. And last but not least, let's label our axes because our title of the graph has already been labeled.